This is Rare on Purpose, identity coaching with Floyd. Look, most people spend their lives trying to become somebody, but the real work is in remembering who you already are. Life has been training you the whole time. Through pressure, setbacks, the moments you thought were breaking you. Every episode, I'm gonna break down identity, leadership, and the mindset of the rare ones. Cause the strongest leaders, and they don't follow the crowd, they move rare on purpose. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rare on Purpose. I appreciate y'all for joining me. Today's episode, nobody handing you any clarity. No. Look, if your manager keeps moving the target or your one-on-ones leave you with more fog than signal, and every week feels like the expectation changes, but nobody said that they changed, I want you to hear me clearly. Nobody is handing you clarity. And if you're in leadership, they're not really supposed to. I mean, it would be nice if they did. Don't get me wrong. But I once folks start getting elevated, once you receive those promotions, once you receive that elevated title, that means that you are seen as somebody who doesn't need the clarity handed to them. A lot of capable people are burning real energy, being frustrated by that simple reality. They're waiting for somebody above them to be clearer, to be cleaner, more thoughtful, more consistent, more coaching minded, right? Maybe more people forward or structured and proactive than that person really is. And, that frustration makes sense in a human perspective. Because if you lead people well, you probably think, hey, my leader will lead people well, right? You probably do think about expectations. You probably do think about what success should look like before the quarter ends. How can I make sure that I give my people the most clarity? So when it doesn't happen for you from the top down, it can kind of feel like insane, really. It feels unfair, sloppy. You might start having complaints. It feels like bad leadership. I mean, sometimes it is bad leadership, I suppose. But that still don't change your job. Because once you are a leader, your growth can't depend on being managed perfectly. Your growth can't depend on somebody handing you the clean package. That's a BFR. Shout out to my homeboy, Doug Smith. I used to work with him at Jones Day. He was a big fan of Les Snead. Les Snead is the general manager of the Los Angeles Rams, Super Bowl winning GM. And he used to work out there with him. And he said Les would always talk about BFRs, brutal facts of reality. Look, some of y'all are angry at your manager for not giving what they really are not built to give cleanly. And it's not because they're evil. It's not because they're trying to sabotage you. It's not necessarily because your job is at risk and they want to get rid of you. No. Maybe they got to where they are because they have a different shape. Maybe they are highly strategic and not necessarily indexed for people leadership. Maybe they are highly technical and not necessarily good at expectation setting for other people. Maybe they are brilliant and still not highly indexed for coaching. Not everybody is indexed for coaching. I mean, that's why I'm here doing what I do. That's why I make money doing what I do, because I'm indexed for coaching. Not everybody is. And you got to see that accurately, because the moment you do, your question changes, right? Your question is no longer, why aren't they giving me what I need? Question becomes, how do I create what I need? That's the shift. Stop being disappointed, start being dangerous. A lot of people don't like that shift, right? Because waiting I don't know. I mean, I think sometimes it feels righteous. Right? I'm waiting for somebody to do right by me, right? Waiting lets you stay innocent. It lets you keep the moral high ground. I would be doing better if I would get what I need, right? If somebody would deliver the package I'm waiting for. But let me make this even plainer, right? Innocent and effective are not the same thing. And some of y'all have spent too long trying to be innocent. Let me make it like straightforward as I can. Being under threat is not the same as being under vague leadership. That's not the same emergency. If you don't, when you don't know the difference, when you don't really think about it, your nervous system will respond the same way, right? If you have a manager who's vague at giving you clarity, it might feel like your whole future is in doubt, on fire. Every meeting feels loaded. Every priority shift feels personal. Every pause or silence feels like a verdict or a signal that you are missing, right? And now you're not just dealing with ambiguity, you start carrying around fear. And that's serious, because once fear gets involved, you don't move correctly, right? You start spiraling, you overread, you start performing. I know I've been there. I've been there plenty of times, right? When your fear is in your heart, you don't show up as your clear self. You start trying to look useful instead of getting clear so you can actually be useful, right? That's expensive. Trying to look useful is exhausting, man. Right? So I don't want y'all to be exhausted, man. So let me relieve something first. You might not be failing right now. You might just be under supported. You might be under led for your expectations. You might be operating under somebody whose communication style is creating more drag than direction for you. That's real. That happens. But it's not the end of the sentence. There's no period there. It's a comma. You still got to get what you need, because that's leadership. If you have direct reports, if you have projects and goals, there's things that are relying on you. So as a leader, you don't stop. Clarity is not some kind of gift that you get because you deserve it. Clarity, sometimes, most times, a lot of times, is labor. It's questions, it's synthesis, it's follow-up. It's, man, I shouldn't have to ask again, but I see here that I do. It's summarizing what you heard and reading it back to the person and checking to see if that's what they really meant. It's documenting a decision that was implied, but it was never cleanly stated. I know we all been there for that, right? You've been in the Slack channel. Hey, somebody asking how they do something. Somebody else comes in. Ooh, subject matter expert has a ton of suggestions. Hey, you can fix this A way, B way, or C way. The message trails off. The thread trails off, and nobody actually chose A, B, or C. So what should you do? You drive in. You drive in, right? You pick one. Don't let fog become the operating system. That is the work. Communication is the work. A lot of leaders are behind because they still think clarity is something that a good boss hands down to you, like a memo, right? Hey, here's what I clearly need from you. Boom. No. As a leader, you got to go get what you need, man. You got to go grocery shopping. You have to know what's missing. You have to know what you need. And if you don't know, you keep digging until you figure it out. You got to get it. That's what managing is. That's definitely what managing up is. It's not really about babysitting adults or cleaning up everybody else's mess forever, but you refuse to let ambiguity sit on your head untreated. When you have the power to interrogate it, man, you got the power to pull at it. See what parts really mean something. Don't spend 3 weeks being quietly irritated by some unstable expectation when you could have brought the instability into the room, pinned it down, and made it stable. Maybe that takes you 2 days instead of 2 weeks. Look, disappointment is not helplessness. Sometimes you might be disappointed because you would like to have something delivered to you in a certain way and it doesn't come. That's fine. But that's not helplessness. You still move. That line matters because some of y'all are letting disappointment turn into passivity. And man, passivity is never going to work. Not for a leader. No. And passivity, man, it's tricky because it can dress itself up as patience, and it can show up to work and it can have you feeling like, well, I'm just going to be patient and wait this out. No, but you're being passive. Question your own actions, right? You can look at your manager and say, hey, I didn't get the clarity I need. Or you can look to your PM and say, this project manager is not giving everybody the clarity they need. But what if you look at yourself and say, you know what, I've waited 2 days when I could have just pushed back after 2 hours. Passivity. Throwing on a shirt and a bow tie and showing up to work and calling itself patience. It's not. It's delayed ownership. Look, and one of the clearest places this shows up is your one-on-one. Your one-to-one time with your direct manager. That's your time. That room is too expensive to waste on status theater. It's not there so you can sound busy. I know it's tempting. It's not there so you can recite back tasks. It's not there so your manager can ask, how's it going? And you can say pretty good while your role really is getting blurrier and blurrier every week. That's a weak use of premium space, man. Your one-to-one is where ambiguity should get squashed. It should be where you drag it into the room, call it out for what it is, and get assistance from somebody who has more pull and influence than you do, or a different pull and influence than you do, so that whose job is to help free you up and you work through it. Surface that expectation, let him or her know, look, I want to get clear on this. This priority is shifting. Can you translate for me? Push on it, stress test it. What's success look like for me? And if you keep doing this good, by the time you get your performance review, nothing should be a surprise. Whether you are exceptional or whether you are doing poorly, it should not be a surprise. If the target keeps moving for you, say that in your one-to-one. If priorities are unstable, say that. If work is getting paused after months of effort, ask, hey, what changed? Take the personal part out of it and just deal in facts, brutal facts of reality. If you need to know how your performance is being measured, ask directly, how am I being measured? How am I doing and by what standard? Don't just nod politely. Make them define the signal. That's their job, right? Some of y'all leave one-on-ones with the same fog you brought in. That's not good. It cannot keep happening, especially if you lead people. Because here's where leadership changes the math. When you were an IC, being able to make miracles happen within context, it was probably like a superpower, right? You could survive vagueness, you could improvise, you could figure it out, work a miracle, hold it all in your head and still move. But once you lead people, that same habit, man, that's a liability, because now your ability to tolerate ambiguity, it don't just affect you, it affects your team. It affects their stress, their priorities, their career goals. They have families they need to feed. So no, at that point, you don't just get to shrug and say, we'll make it work. Everything is a negotiation. Support is a negotiation. Scope is a negotiation. Priority is a negotiation. Trade-offs are a negotiation. Whatever your team needs from the org is a negotiation. Heard one time somebody told me, in life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. That's facts. And if you don't get what you need, the people under you will pay for your silence. So that's why this topic matters. This is not comfort content. I know it's not one of those topics where you're going to listen and feel great. And in fact, let me go one level deeper, man. Some of y'all are not just waiting for clarity, y'all are hiding in the wait. Because as long as nobody handed you clarity, you don't have to fully declare your own value. You don't have to sharpen your own point of view. You don't have to put language around what you actually need. You don't have to say what success should look like. You don't have to risk being wrong when you jumped in directly. You get to blame the fog. Fog is convenient for people who don't want to drive. You know, you can just leave the car parked in the garage and say it's a foggy day out there. Not good. I know that one is sharp, but it's true. At some point, you got to stop hoping somebody notices your value and start making it legible. You have to come into the room with language, with questions, with a frame. Because if you can't name what's missing, then you can't ask for it. And if you can't ask for it, you'll keep calling the whole situation bad leadership. When part of the issue is that you haven't stepped into the leadership yourself. So what do you do this week? First, I want you to locate the ambiguity precisely. Don't just say everything feels unclear. No. Where exactly is the fog? What keeps changing? What is surprising you? What assumptions are you making that nobody actually confirmed? What's the important thing that you got to guess about? And then turn that into questions, you know? No speeches, no resentment, no personal issues into it, just straight questions. Hey, what changed in the priority? What should I optimize for now? How will I know this is back on track this quarter? What do you want to see more consistently from me, right? And third, I think everybody can improve on this one. Reclaim your one-to-one time. Don't show up empty. You know, I struggle with that a lot. And I found that, you know, the sharper I get, the more I bring to the table, right? I'm kind of notorious for, I start the meeting thinking I got nothing, but by the time I keep living my principles of getting what I need, I got stuff, right? I got stuff. And fourth, stop romanticizing managers, man. Some people are strong in one direction, not so strong in another, highly indexed in one strength, not highly indexed in another. Just see them clearly and lead accordingly, right? Part of being a leader is understanding the environment, the constraints around you. And stop waiting for title permission to create signal. If you need somebody to officially authorize you to ask better questions or get clear alignment or to reduce confusion for your team, then you're already operating too small. Strong leaders create signal. They don't just complain about noise. So I'm gonna close it out like this, man. Nobody's handing you clarity. And honestly, that could become one of the best things that ever happened to you. Because the day you stop waiting to be managed perfectly is the day you start building real leadership weight. Because leadership is really just about having the courage and wherewithal to navigate a problem-filled environment. All companies, all employment situations are problem-filled environments. That's why they have leaders. Like standing next to a river and there's problems constantly floating by. Right? Real leadership weight means you stop letting somebody else's communication gaps control your confidence. You understand that, hey, although this person may not be highly indexed for that, that's another issue or problem for me to navigate. You stop confusing your disappointment with helplessness. All right, I'm disappointed that I'm not getting this thing, but I'm not helpless. I notice it, clock it, move forward. I don't treat the fog like it's my fate. And you learn how to move with intention, even when the room is not giving you everything you want. That's really leadership. Not having every answer, not controlling every variable, but being aware of what's around and going and getting what's needed. That's the work. So look, if this is your pressure right now, if the expectations around you are unstable, your role is getting fuzzier as the stakes rise. I know a lot of companies right now, almost everybody that I coach is their company is going through the exact same thing, right? Things are moving at the speed of AI. Things are moving, changing, a lot of change, a sea of change. If your leadership is stronger than the system around you, this is exactly the kind of work I coach. Look, I help high-performing leaders build cleaner communication, stronger leadership signal, better stakeholder trust, and clearer operating rhythms under pressure. And it's not really from learning new things. It's from bringing out what's already in you in the best way. Look, if your work is strong, but your value is not quite landing, man, that's coachable. My coaching packages are out on Leland. You can check them out. Also, my books and my leadership resources and links to my coaching packages are on my website, rareonpurpose.com. Thank you for checking in with me and listening to me rant about this topic. I think it's a really important one, so I decided to cue this one up. I appreciate it. Keep rocking with me, and I'll check y'all next time, man. Peace. Thanks for listening to Rare on Purpose. If this episode helped you remember something about yourself, share it with somebody you know that you think really needs to hear it. And if you're a leader trying to reconnect with who you really are and lead from that place, look, that's the work that I do through Rare on Purpose coaching. You can go out to my website, rareonpurpose.com, or you can just tap into Leland Coaching and search for J. Floyd. Until next time, y'all, remember who you are and move rare on purpose.